Every curse begins as a seed, a word planted, a thought accepted, a belief embraced. It could have been something someone told you as a child. You're just like your father, you'll never change. It could have been an insult, a label, a judgment that lodged itself into your mind and grew roots. It could have been a moment you failed and convinced yourself you were destined to fail forever. But hear me, the soil of your spirit is powerful. What you allow to remain planted will grow. And today you have the authority to uproot every poisonous seed. You do not have to water the weeds of doubt and fear any longer. When you speak words of truth and power over yourself, you shift the frequency of your life. Every time you declare, I am blessed, you are striking down a curse. Every time you say, I am free, you are breaking a chain. Every time you stand in front of your reflection and say, my life is turning in my favor, you are overturning verdicts made in unseen places. The universe responds to faith-filled speech. Heaven aligns itself with declarations of truth. The invisible barriers that held you hostage begin to crumble when you refuse to agree with them any longer. Stop rehearsing the pain. Stop replaying the words of those who doubted you. Every repetition gives power to the curse. Instead, speak life into the spaces that once felt dead. Look at the empty bank account and say, abundance flows to me now. Look at the broken relationship and declare, love, healing, and restoration are my portion. Look at your weary heart and whisper, I am whole. There is an unseen courtroom in the spiritual realm where accusations against you have been spoken. But there is also an advocate, a higher voice, waiting for you to rise and testify to your own freedom. Your words are your evidence. Your faith is your witness. Your courage is the final verdict. You are not at the mercy of curses spoken in ignorance or hatred. You are not trapped by patterns passed down through bloodlines. You are a breaker of cycles, a destroyer of chains, a builder of new paths. And the moment you refuse to agree with the curse loses its legal right to remain. Speak as if it is already done. Walk as if every door is open. Live as if every blessing is already in your hands. This is not pretending. This is commanding the unseen to align with what you know is already yours. When you understand the power you hold, fear loses its grip. You realize that no word spoken against you can stand unless you give it permission. You see that every insult, every doubt, every curse is nothing more than smoke when you decide to breathe life into truth. The curse only lives when it is believed. The chain only holds when you refuse to move. But the moment you stand, the moment you speak, the moment you take one step in the opposite direction, the atmosphere around you begins to shift. And here is the mystery. Curses are often not loud. They do not always arrive as shouting voices or visible enemies. Sometimes they hide in whispers, in the quiet thoughts that creep into your mind late at night, telling you to settle, to shrink, to stop hoping. But you were never created to settle. You were never born to live small. You have been given authority over every force that tries to limit you. This is why your words matter more than you've ever known. Every time you speak from a place of faith, you are planting seeds for the harvest you want. You are rewriting the story. You are sending a decree into the unseen realm, and nothing can return void when it is backed by belief. The old patterns will try to return. The voices from the past will try to echo again. The shadows of yesterday will try to stretch into your tomorrow. But you can say no. That season is over. That name no longer belongs to me. That weight no longer lives in my hands. Life will give you opportunities to agree with the curse or to rise above it. The choice is always yours. You can repeat the cycle or you can break it. You can keep the chains or you can throw them into the fire. But if you choose to break it, you must break it completely. In thought, in speech, in action. There is no halfway freedom. There is no partial blessing. Either you walk in the fullness of your authority or you live under the shadow of someone else's words. And I am here to tell you, the shadow is a lie. You were made for light. You were made for abundance. You were made for joy that cannot be stolen. You may not see it all yet. The breakthrough may still be beneath the surface. But just because you don't see it doesn't mean it hasn't already begun. Seeds grow in the dark before they break the soil. The blessings you have spoken, the curses you have canceled, are already moving toward you, even if your eyes cannot yet see them. You must begin to see yourself as someone unstoppable, not because of your strength alone, but because of the divine force that backs you when you speak in alignment with truth. Every curse loses its grip the moment you step into the knowing that you are chosen, protected, and guided. Think of the people who have risen from nothing, who had every reason to fail, every curse stacked against them. Yet they stood up and kept speaking life. They refused to bow to the words spoken over them. They refused to accept that their story would end in defeat. And today, their names are remembered not for their pain, but for their power. You are no different. The same strength flows through you. The same authority rests on your tongue. The same spiritual law that works for the rich, the healed, the free, works for you right now. But you must guard your speech. You cannot say, I am free, and then turn around and agree with the chains by saying, nothing ever works out for me. You cannot declare, I am blessed, and then complain about how cursed you feel. Your words must align with your desire at all times. This is where the transformation begins, not in the outer world, but in the inner dialogue you carry every single day. You cancel curses not just by shouting once in a moment of emotion, but by living in a constant atmosphere of faith-filled speech. Every morning you reaffirm your freedom. Every night you bless your future. Every challenge is met with a decree, not a complaint, and slowly, the chains that seemed unbreakable begin to fall away. The opportunities you thought were gone forever begin to return. The relationships you thought were too broken to heal begin to shift. The heaviness that sat on your chest for years begins to lift. The curse has no choice but to dissolve when it is starved of agreement. It cannot breathe without your belief. And when you stop feeding it with your fear, your doubt, your hopelessness, it dies. You are not a victim of what was spoken in the dark. You are a creator of what is declared in the light. Every word from your mouth is a seed in the soil of your life. Plant carefully. Speak intentionally. Declare boldly. Because the moment you truly grasp this truth, you will stop living like someone waiting to be rescued and start living like someone who has already been set free. The atmosphere around you is always listening. Every thought, every whisper, every declaration is a command to the unseen. When you speak with conviction, the forces of life rearrange themselves to match your words. When you speak with doubt, they scatter and leave your blessings suspended in waiting. So you must train yourself to be consistent. Your speech must become a constant river of life, not a mix of faith and fear. You cannot cancel a curse with one hand and rebuild it with the other. You must be relentless in your decision to stand in truth, even when everything around you tempts you to give in. You may wake up and still see the same situation, the same bills, the same broken places. But the evidence in front of you is not the final word. Faith speaks to what is unseen and calls it into existence. Faith ignores the temporary picture and paints a new one with words. When you say, my life is turning in my favor, the old picture begins to fade. When you declare, I am untouchable by harm, the shadows lose their shape. When you affirm, everything meant for evil is turning into good, the curse loses its legal claim over your destiny. You are not fighting for victory, you are speaking from it. The moment you understand this, your posture changes. You stop begging for freedom and start walking as though the chains have already fallen. You stop waiting for permission and start moving like someone who knows the way has already been cleared. And here's the truth few understand. Curses thrive in silence. They grow when you stop speaking life. They feed off neglect. But when you begin to actively flood your environment with words of power, light floods every dark corner and there is no space left for them to exist. So speak over your finances. Wealth flows to me from every direction. Speak over your body. Every cell in me vibrates with health. Speak over your mind. Peace surrounds me and clarity fills me. Speak over your family. We are blessed, protected, and favored. Do not wait for the feelings to come first. Speak until the feelings follow. Do not wait for the situation to change first. Speak until the situation is forced to align with what you've declared. Your words are not empty, they are spiritual commands that reshape the very ground beneath your feet. The more you speak life, the more your reality bends toward your declaration. The more you refuse to give voice to fear, the more fear starves. The more you align your tongue with truth, the more curses lose their grip and fade like mist in the morning sun. The moment you open your mouth with authority, the unseen shifts. The chains that felt welded to your soul begin to tremble. The heaviness that has sat on your shoulders for years starts to loosen. The curses that once felt permanent start losing their foundation. And I need you to understand, this is not just about saying pretty words. This is about speaking from a place of absolute conviction, even when your emotions don't match yet. Your words are like keys, and every time you speak, you are unlocking a door in the spiritual realm. If you keep turning that key, the door must open. Some of you have been living in rooms you were never meant to stay in. Rooms of lack, rooms of sickness, rooms of constant disappointment. You've been told, this is just life, this is how it will always be, but those are the lies curses are built on. And today, those lies are losing their power because you are choosing a different report. You can stand in the middle of that same room and declare, this is not my final address. My life is shifting now. You can stand in the place where everything looks broken and say, this is the ground where my miracle will grow. Curses are like shadows. They only exist when there is an object blocking the light. When you allow truth to shine in full, when you remove agreement with the lies, the shadow has nothing to attach to. It fades, not because you chased it, but because you filled the space with light. From this day forward, your mouth is not just a tool for communication, it is a weapon. It is your sword, your shield, your hammer that smashes the chains. Every blessing you've been waiting for is standing in the hallway of your life, waiting for the door of your words to open. And the more you speak it, the more you live as though it's already here, the more unstoppable you become. You'll notice opportunities appearing where there were none. You'll see favor in places you once met rejection. You'll feel lighter, freer, more untouchable with every passing day. And the people who once spoke against you, the ones who doubted you, will not recognize the person you've become. They will wonder how the curses they expected to destroy you somehow became the very fuel that lifted you higher. Every day you wake up is another opportunity to rewrite the script. The curse only survives when you replay the old story, when you let the same lines run through your mind and out of your mouth. But the moment you start speaking a new narrative, the past begins to lose its grip. The truth is, your life bends to the language you use. If your words are filled with defeat, life will shape itself to match that defeat. If your words are saturated with victory, life will rise to meet that victory. This is the law. What you agree with becomes your reality. There are forces that hope you will stay silent, that you will be too tired, too discouraged, too distracted to speak life. But silence is agreement. And the moment you refuse to be silent, you've already begun breaking the curse. Your breakthrough is not just about removing what is wrong, it is about creating what is right. When you replace every negative declaration with a faith-filled decree, you are building a fortress of blessing that no curse can penetrate. You might have been told that your bloodline carries certain limitations, illness, poverty, failure. But you are not just a product of your bloodline, you are a product of the divine source that breathed life into you. That source is greater than any generational pattern. It overrides the old record and plays a new song when you give it permission through your words. So instead of saying, "This runs in my family," start saying, "This ends with me." Instead of saying, "That's just the way things are," declare, "Things are changing in my favor right now." Instead of claiming, "It's always been hard," speak, "The rest of my life will be filled with ease, grace, and abundance." You don't have to feel ready to speak it. You just have to speak it until your spirit believes it, until your mind accepts it, until your body aligns with it. This is how curses are dismantled, not with a single moment, but with a continuous, unshakable choice to speak life every time. And as you keep speaking, you'll notice the atmosphere around you feels different. People who once brought negativity into your space will start disappearing. Doors you didn't even knock on will swing open. The very energy of your life will shift, and those old shadows will have nowhere left to hide. There will be moments when the old voice tries to return. The voice that says, "You're wasting your time. Nothing is changing." That is when you must speak louder than the lie, not just in volume, but in certainty. You do not argue with it, you overrule it. When a judge speaks a final verdict, the gavel falls and the case is closed. Your declarations work the same way. You speak the truth as the final authority, and every curse, every false report, every whisper of defeat has to bow. And yes, there will be days when you feel wary, days when your situation tries to prove you wrong. But the most powerful declarations are often made when your eyes see nothing yet, because that's when your words are not reacting to reality, they are creating it. Speak into the empty space, "My table is full." Speak into the sickness, "My body is a temple of health." Speak into the loneliness, "I am surrounded by love." Speak into the debt, "Wealth flows to me without struggle." Every word you speak is not only heard by heaven, it is recorded in the very atmosphere around you. Those words become orders to the unseen, commands to every force working in your favor. The more you repeat them with unwavering faith, the faster the shift comes. And you will notice, the curses that felt so heavy begin to lose their weight. The cycles that kept repeating start to weaken. The feelings of being stuck turn into quiet confidence that something is already moving in your favor. Remember, you cannot control every circumstance that comes your way, but you can control every word that leaves your mouth. And when you take control of your words, you take control of your future. Every blessing that is yours by divine right is waiting for your agreement. Every curse that has tried to linger is waiting for your refusal. The moment you say, "No more," with conviction, the process of release begins. The moment you say, "I receive my good now," the delivery is already on its way. Every curse breaks the moment you stop rehearsing it. Every blessing rushes in the moment you begin to announce it. The world has taught you to wait for proof before you believe, but the truth is, proof arrives after faith, not before. Your words create the evidence. There is no situation too tangled for your declarations to unravel. There is no darkness so thick that light cannot pierce it when you speak with certainty. The curse only thrives in the absence of intentional speech, and that is why you must keep your mouth filled with life at all times. Even in the smallest moments. Walking through your home, riding in the car, waiting in line, you can be releasing power into your life. A whisper of, "I am favored," carries more authority than 100 thoughts of fear. A quiet, steady, "Everything is working for my good," is enough to rearrange the day ahead. Do not underestimate the silent agreements you've made with the past. Every time you say, "That's just how it is," you give the curse permission to remain. But every time you speak, "This is changing now," you push it closer to its end. The unseen is always listening. The laws of life respond to your speech, not your feelings. You can feel fear but still speak faith. You can feel doubt but still declare truth. And the moment you do, the scale tips in your favor. Curses may have entered your life through the words of others, but they will exit through the words of your own mouth. You are the gatekeeper. You decide what stays and what goes. You decide what is repeated and what is silenced. And when you decide that only life will be spoken, life becomes your constant reality. You are not powerless. You are not at the mercy of what was said over you years ago. You are the breaker of agreements, the writer of new decrees, the speaker of blessings that cannot be reversed. And every time you speak as though it is already done, you are not pretending. You are enforcing the truth that was already written over your life before any curse was spoken. You are walking into a new season, not because the curse simply decided to leave, but because you commanded it to leave. You did not wait for permission from people. You did not wait for circumstances to prove you right. You stood in the middle of the battle and declared victory before the dust had even settled. This is the essence of living free. Speaking the language of your destiny, not the language of your history. You stop agreeing with every negative pattern that once defined you, and you start agreeing with the truth of who you really are. Understand this. Curses are powerless in the presence of consistent, faith-filled speech. They may try to return, but they find no home in a heart that refuses to agree with them. Your mouth has become the gateway to your blessings, your words the building blocks of the life you are stepping into. So from this day forward, let no careless word leave your lips. Let every sentence be a seed of life, abundance, health, and peace. And when the old voices of doubt or defeat try to whisper, remember, you have the final say. Speak your freedom. Announce your blessing. Declare your victory. Because the moment you do, every curse over your life is not just weakened, it is cancelled. Forever.